impeachment. The Democrats, they can't decide whether to spend our money on the Ukraine or spend our money on the DACA kids, or, I mean, we only churn out 19 point some odd trillion every 300 days, and we're going to shut down the government here in the next 4 weeks. Did you know that? We generate 19 trillion and plus every year,
GDP,
and we're like, oh my gosh.
Our GDP's that big?
Yeah, and they
20 trillion, yeah.
and we're buying the news that the government's going to shut down. I mean, 19 trillion.
Well, the vast majority of it is a misnomer, as probably everybody at this table is aware. 87% of the government continues during the shutdown. They only make you believe they're like, oh, the parks are. Well, the parks have to fences around. Actually, they're shut down. The trails are shut down.
That was the big thing because when Obama shut down the monuments in Washington, they had to actively be guarding them to keep people out.
Because they were out of money, they had to pay guards together to keep you off the trails. The gravel's broken, guys.
It wasn't that they just let them go and people did what they want. They were actually hiring people and having people actually work.
But you know what? Well, that was going on. That's a few years ago. I was working the Republican booth at the state fair, and Mark Wayne Mullen comes by, and he mans the booth with me for a while, you know, and his family there and stuff. Great. And I said, wow, it's kind of funny seeing you, you know, in town on a Wednesday night. He says, oh, I flew back specifically to get my tool bag. And I said, what for? He says, we've got honor flights. We got World War II veterans coming back there early next week. He says, I'm bringing my cable. He says, I'm bringing my cable cutters. He says, listen, well, Congress is in session. They can't arrest me. And he says, so I'm cutting the cables. That's Mullen for you.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So anyway, that's.
It's amazing how desperate though the Ukraine needs our money, and how highly they. Did you notice how many times that the Javelin missiles? Yeah, we need those, but more importantly, the symbolism.
Well,
did you see how hard it was with the symbolism?
It was. I'm trying to remember which one it was that was talking. He equated the pause in the giving of the money for the armaments to putting our soldiers at risk. It was he literally made that equation.
Well, it's not even split because he's a globalist, probably globalist scum, and he really thinks that we're all the same. He thinks that we owe them money.
That literally is where they were coming from. Is that and that these poor Ukrainians were dying, and therefore Trump should be basically indicted for murder.
And my question as an American, with the government getting ready to shut down, is how will we pay for the DACA kids?
Yeah. Well, here's the real reason they're going to impeach him in the House is because he violates our values. That's what they said. He offends our values.
And it's true, but literally it's true that every Democrat offends the values of conservatives.
Exactly.
And so it is a feels crime.
Well,
and they're allowed to impeach the president on nothing more than feels.
But let's remember this. The Democrats do way more than offend us.
Yes.
They harm us.
They imprison us. They raid us. They kill us.
They attack us through socialism by co-ownership. That was my point about ownership is an action word. So when they want to co-own, they are actively pursuing me.
Yeah.
They want to pursuing me.
The new Green Deal is
an attack.
Attack. It is a warrant against every single property-owning American, and it is anti-proprietarian, it's anti-constitutional. It says they get to point a gun at you until they own everything. Yes. They own you, and at what point are you a slave? Okay. When government owns 60%, 70%, 80%, 99.9% of your productivity. Okay. When are you a slave?
It comes down to this. Dick Armey was in town in '94. I was helping Steve Largent run. This was the contract with America when conservatives took over Congress after 40 years.
94.
And 94. And so Largent won his primary outright field of like 5 candidates, and he gets his majority, so he avoids a runoff. And so the campaign told me, hey, Saturday, Dick Armey's coming to talk to us. And Dick Armey had something so profound. I think you're going to appreciate it, Holden. He says there are two kinds of people in Washington: those who love power and those who love freedom. He said, now here's the thing: those who love power are always trying to get more of it. And they're getting more of it by taking away freedom from those of us who love freedom. And he said, here's the problem. Those of us who love freedom are always at a disadvantage because we're busy enjoying our freedom and we're rarely organized when we are being confronted with people trying to take it from us. And that's the problem we have with the swamp in Washington, is they're always lusting for more of our freedoms for the sake of their power.
Correct. And that's and it goes also to the fact that it's, as you often say, liberty for me, not for thee.
Yeah.
And so people have their pet cause or their pet desire, their pet right, and that they will fight for that, like guns. But they will
you
not
do it
fight
about
for
the
yours.
hotel tax because you wanted to tax them, but not me.
No.
I
No,
think
you
so.
No, you misunderstand.
Fight.
You misunderstand. But that will take a long time.
No, he understands you perfectly. You're gonna take that?
I think the affinity's done.
If my Chinese social score just went down, or if the Chinese one went up,
Your David Van social
problem.
score went down.
My David Van social score went down.
You'll never blog in this town
Okay,
again.
you were making a point. I'm
Anyway,
sorry.
I forgot now.
It was working.
Yeah! Finally, yeah!
Shut him down.
We've mucked the whole issue up.
All right.
Hey, we are gonna. Yeah,
But we
if you
do-
remember, we'll still
Hold
have.
on, and just interrupt me. Start talking over me on this because I'm still not done talking about just how much of a cancer leftism is on the entire world. Leftism is the #1 cause of death of people in the past 100 years. Period. And Mao Zedong and Hitler and Stalin, these are all progressivists and progressive policies, and that's even separate from abortion. But
And I would say more correctly, it's tyranny is the cancer of the world. The left has a lot more of it than the right, but the right is infected themselves.
And the prettiest dress that tyranny and authoritarianism ever dressed up in is leftism.
Yes.
Let me help you a little more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I agree with that. But it's tyranny versus liberty. It's tyranny versus our rights, our inherent rights.
Yeah.
It's tyranny versus what is ours. So the question is, when will we get to the point that enough is enough? When will we get to the point where the Declaration says that they can endure no longer?
Yeah.
When is that point? When is anybody going to start actually rising
They
up?
start kicking down your pal's
doing
door
these
for
things.
owning 2 ounces of plastic.
And it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be violent in any way.
But I think there's a term, critical mass, is kind of part of this because some people have already reached that. It's have we reached it in enough quantity?
Correct.
To start moving, because remember when the Declaration of Independence happened, I think it was only like 25% supported it at the time, or something like
Directly.
that. Directly, yeah.
How many could read?
So most of the people are like, don't make them mad, don't make them mad.
We need to calculate that into reparations too.
Yeah. All right.
Intrinsic value.
Intrinsic value. It's priceless.
What else we got?